Okay, people, let's go through this full moon in the sign of Aries. So it is happening at 14 degrees of Aries. As you can see in the chart here, that is what makes it a full moon. The sun and the moon exactly opposite from each other. And this is taking place on, well, it took place either the 6th or the 7th, depending on where you are in the world. And the energy of this full moon is quite intense, quite powerful. I'm really excited to talk about it today. I want to go through the Sabian symbol of this placement because I find that the Sabian symbols give us so much context and meaning, a deeper meaning of the energy that we're currently working with. And so the Sabian symbol for 14 to 15 degrees of Aries, usually round up for the Sabian symbol. The Sabian symbol is painting a picture of the planetary energy of what 14 degrees, 14, 15 degrees of Aries represents. And so the Sabian symbol, I have it listed over here, and it says that it represents cosmic consciousness. So 15 degrees of Aries is cosmic consciousness. The literal translation, the phrase for it, the image is an Indian weaving a ceremonial blanket. And then more descriptions of the Sabian symbol is living more and more as a realized being. So to just kind of set the stage and to offer up the Sabian symbol before we begin, before we start to talk about the energy, yeah, it sets the stage, it sets the foundation for the energy that we're currently in. So living more and more as a realized being. And then as you look into the Sabian symbol, it talks about little by little, like upgrading our consciousness and little by little entering into a state of surrender, of presence, by being more and more aware of it. So it's like inviting in those moments and then over time being able to hold that, to have that be our default setting, that state of presence and conscious awareness. And so it really feels like this is the place that we're at right now after we moved through eclipse season and this last eclipse and new moon that was in the sign of Virgo, that was a huge release and a huge purge. And as you can see here in the chart, the nodes of fate are incredibly powerful. You can see this is the south node that I'm talking about, that's in Virgo. Still in Virgo, we've got a year and a half with the nodes in this sign. It's not even halfway through its journey yet. And with the south node, we're actively releasing these lower energies of Virgo, right? We're actively releasing the shadow side of Virgo, the worries, the anxieties, the fears, the need to control everything, to have all of it perfectly planned out, because there is a lack of trust in the self and in the universe. And so this is what we're actively releasing, the shadow side of Virgo here. And with that comes the deepest examination of our mind, truly, the deepest examination of our mental activity, our thoughts, the mental looping, the rumination. It's like this year, this year is so powerful. Everything is changing this year. We're doing the deepest dive of cleaning out our mind. And in addition to that, we've already established that every single outer planet shifts signs, right? A lot of them have already shifted. All of the outer planets, the generational planets. We have Uranus here that has entered into Gemini, and then we have Saturn and Neptune. Neptune is entered into Aries, Saturn entered into Aries, and now it's retrograde back. Pluto entered into Aquarius. But basically, we have every single one of the outer planets, the slower moving planets, the generational planets that kind of set the stage for the collective consciousness, the collective energy, the generational planets that move very, very slowly, that take a long time to move, that it's a slow burn. So it's literally a new chapter. It is unheard of this year that we have all of that happening. And I just want to emphasize that because this full moon feels like a new threshold. It feels like we've shifted into this new version of ourselves, like we've upgraded, we can feel that happening. So with that, there can be a lot of fears and a lot of fear, a lot of stress, a lot of worry, just a lot of fear, because we're approaching, we're entering into this new expression of ourselves. And so let me talk about how that shows up in the chart here. So okay, full moon in the sign of Aries, right? Moon is here in Aries, Libra. Sun is what we have. The sun's making its way through Libra season. And the ruling planet of this full moon is Mars, right? Aries full moon. So the ruler is Mars, and Mars is here in Scorpio. And so there's a lot going on in the chart. We also have Chiron that is in play here. Chiron has been making an aspect to Jupiter, and it was in conversation with Mercury. So there was a lot around, like, a lot of things could have been touching this internal wound that we have. It's like it's at this place where it has healed enough for you to come into this new version of yourself. But lately, it could have felt like kind of scratching that wound, kind of like opening it up and testing, the how it's healed, where it's at now. And okay, with the energy of Libra and Aries here in this full moon, Aries is obviously, it's about the self. It's the first sign in the zodiac. And so for all of us, this is a looking at our self-identity, what's important to us, and the relationship with the other. Libra is the other, Aries is the self. And so that is the balance here. How we show up for ourselves, how we support ourselves, how we do what we need to do to take care of us versus that Libra energy that wants to maybe make other people happy or doesn't want to rock the boat or doesn't want to speak up for themselves. That is kind of coming into play right now. Those dynamics, that energy is highlighted. And as we built up to this full moon this week, we've had some powerful aspects, one of them being this South Node and Venus here that have been together. Venus crossed over the South Node. And so what this is representing is, like, as we built up to this full moon, we feel within us that something is shifting, that our values are shifting, that the way that we want to show up in relationship is shifting. Partnership, we want it to look different. It's like, again, coming back to where I started at the beginning with the South Node in Virgo and talking about the Virgo energy and what we're releasing here. It's like we need to be more discerning around the energy that we'll allow in our life. Virgo is the sign of discernment. So it's noticing the things that we were once drawn to, or that once brought us meaning or fulfillment or pleasure. And maybe those things are kind of presenting themselves to you right now, but it's not fulfilling you in the same way, or it's no longer filling you up because your values have shifted, and the things that you once wanted or you once reached for are just no longer hold any meaning and significance in your life. And so it can feel a little bit sad. It can feel a little bit like we can feel a little bit of grief with this, like things that we once loved or once really wanted in our lives, we no longer want. But it can also be really beautiful. We can see how much we've grown and changed, and maybe some of the unhealthy, tendencies that we've done in the past, or mental looping, or, how we've given others our power. This is very Libra Aries dynamic here, right? We give our power away, or like seeking other people to fulfill us or to meet our needs or to, show up for us in certain ways. And so with this Aries full moon, Aries is always about taking your power back. It's about, again, the first sign in the zodiac, it is about bravery. It's about being courageous. Aries initiates. It starts the zodiac, and it starts a cycle. It starts a new season, right? All of the cardinal signs, Aries, Libra, Cancer, Capricorn, are starting new seasons. So as above, so below, as within, so is our external. And so it's starting a new season. Literally, we're entering, depending on where you are in the world, we're entering into a new season, and a new season of ourselves with this Aries full moon, again, with it putting us into a new threshold. And this is further shown up in the chart with Mars here. The ruling planet of this full moon is Mars in Scorpio. And Mars in Scorpio is determined. It is laser focused. It knows what it wants, but it's like being kind of filled with fear, truly, because it's the thing that you want the most. It's like being afraid of your own power, being afraid of the thing that that you know when you face it, when you look the fear straight in the eyes and you go do that thing, or you move towards that thing that you're afraid of, that the moving through that will literally evolve your soul. But the ego is scared to death of it because it literally means death to the ego and a new expression emerging. And so this Mars in Scorpio, and Mercury just entered Scorpio too. And so there can be a lot going on within our mind or within our body where we're coming up to like our edge, right? We're meeting our fears, we're meeting our deepest fears, but in connection with that, it's like a two-sided coin, right? And so on one side it's our fear, but on the other side it is literally everything that we want. It is like our dream life, but needing to walk through that threshold, needing to walk through to walk up to that fear, to do the thing that most scares you, because through that is how we grow and evolve. And that is the epitome of the Scorpio energy. Truly, like, fuck. So Scorpio. Mars and Mercury in Scorpio. Again, Mars being the ruling planet of this full moon. It is the most important planet here. It rules Aries. And it's all about setting our sight, like connecting in with the thing that we truly desire on the deepest level. Mars rules our desires and how we take action and how we move towards those things that we want. And with it in Scorpio, again, it does have that staying power. Scorpio's fixed water. It's a fixed energy. The fixed signs do what they sound like. They hold the course. They are fixed. They're set in their ways. They're a little bit stubborn. They're determined, and they have the staying power to see something all the way through. The cardinal signs initiate the thing, taking the action. Aries is initiating the action, and then Scorpio has the staying power to see it all the way through. But again, Scorpio is also, it is the sign that represents change and transformation. And with Scorpio, there is this like an obsessive or like a repulsive thing. So they can almost, things that they're really drawn to, that they're really obsessed with, it can almost be a two-sided coin, where at times it can like repulse them, or it's just like a very strong connection to something. But Scorpio has it can have a lot of fears. It can have a lot of internal heaviness that they can kind of stay stuck in or put on themselves, or like ruminate in that feeling of heaviness when they know that they need to do that thing, but they're so afraid of doing it that they just stay stuck in this like paralyzed state. And so again, the energy of this full moon is truly that of bravery, of courage, of not being afraid to be the first one, to go your own way, to walk your own course. Aries, again, the first sign in the zodiac, it has to go out on that hero's journey. It has to find its own path. It has to, maybe it's afraid or it's unafraid, but it has to move forward. It is very decisive. It is action oriented. And so this is the energy that we're in with this full moon. Getting clear on what it is that we want, standing up for ourselves, being secure in who we are. This Chiron and Aries here is another part of the chart, another important part. We have many planets in Aries. Neptune at the very beginning of Aries, this full moon right at the middle, and Chiron is here towards the end of Aries. So it's almost like every chapter of Aries, every like evolved state of Aries, because as you move through the degrees for each sign, it becomes a more embodied expression of that sign. And so the 0 degrees is a little bit like the baby, the middle is like the teenager, and then the end is like more the adult energy. And so Chiron in here in Aries, we have been healing an aspect of the self, of the identity, of our own limiting beliefs. We have been doing a deep dive here. Chiron has been in Aries for a long time. And if it's been in aspect with a personal planet in your chart, then you're going to feel it more deeply. It is probably making some type of aspect to one of your planets. But for all of us, this Chiron in Aries is about looking at the wounds within us, looking at our own internal wounds. And also Chiron, I want to emphasize that Chiron is not just the wound and this wounded part of us, but Chiron is a teacher. It is a mentor. It is like a magician type energy. It is the healer. When they have moved through their wound, they're aware of it. they've tended to it. So this is all of us, right? Tending to this wound around our identity, our confidence, our belief in ourself, all of the qualities that Aries rules. We've been on this long journey of looking at these things and healing parts of the self. It feels like this year, really this whole past year, and especially the last few months, everyone is doing some deep dives and some intensive work within themselves, subconsciously unpacking a lot of things is what it feels like. And so this Chiron in Aries, we've all been tending to, wounds around the identity, around our confidence, around our ability to show up and to take up space in the world. And then by doing that, we also then we become the teacher, we become the embodiment of that energy, and we can help heal other people by showing up and doing our work. And so Chiron isn't just this like pain point in the chart. It is also an empowered point, an empowered energy within all of us. And so we have the ability to tap into that. It is being activated right now as Jupiter is squaring it. It's challenging it. It's so perfect. It's like literally challenging our beliefs about ourselves. Jupiter asks us, where have we been playing it small? Where have we not been standing fully in our power and fully showing up for ourselves and our life and the things that we want? And so Jupiter is asking us to question our beliefs, to question the things that we've held true about ourselves, to question all of those stories. Yeah, there is a lot that is being reworked right now. And again, I feel like this full moon is really the culmination point in the like clear marker in the sky of the stepping into a new expression. Because October, as we move through October, it is a beautiful energy there. We're out of eclipse season. And so the changes that were put in place during that season are now starting to grow and starting to take root. But with this full moon, again, there can be a lot of fears that are coming up, which is fine, right? That is fine. We can look at them, we can greet them, we can talk to them, we can sit with them, we can ask our fears, what are they trying to protect us from? Do we still need that protection, or are we just holding on to, this fear that is not even serving us? It's not keeping us safe. It's now keeping us stuck, and it's keeping us from fully entering into this new chapter of our life, this new expression of our life. And so, yes, there is a lot happening with this full moon. It is a really powerful time. I'm just seeing if there's any other important aspects that I want to speak to. I mentioned Jupiter here and how it's squaring Chiron and what that energy represents. But at the same time, Jupiter is also making a beautiful trine and will just continue to build in strength because it's a few degrees away right now, but it's making a beautiful trine to Saturn, and it's still in trine to the South Node. And so it's like, even though things could be a little bit painful, or even though maybe you could be a little bit filled with fear, or having to face your fears, or having to come up against old stories that you have thought to be true, or somebody once told you that it was true about yourself and you've held on to that story, even though like the point that we're at in our life right now is making us like challenge those stories and making us push past these things, push into a new threshold. Like, even though there can be fear and there can be pain points and there can be it doesn't really feel so much like worry and anxiety. It feels more like this deep fear of the thing that we need to do that we know will set us free, but we're like scared shitless to do the thing. But along with that, there is a lot of support. There's a lot of support with the planets. There's a lot of beautiful aspects. Like, it's just moving through that threshold, moving through that door, facing the thing, going and doing that thing, whatever the thing looks like for all of us. It's going to look different because we're all here to do different things. We're all here for a different evolutionary purpose. And so the thing is going to look different, but by facing it, by looking at the fear and moving towards it, this is the highest expression of the Scorpio energy. Then you're no longer caught in the darkness. You're no longer trapped in this cage that you've built for yourself that isn't even real. It's like you could bust out of it, but you've like, other people maybe have helped you configure this cage, and you're just like trapped in this little cage that's made out of like paper, and you could just break out of it. but that is the point we're at right now, where we could just break out of that cage. But we, it's like when the animal is tied to the horse is tied to something so light, and they could really just break out of that thing, but they've been connected to it their whole life. And so that really feels like the energy that we're in right now. But again, there's so many planets that are supporting us, and Mars in Scorpio is such a powerful sign. Like, send me back with this in the next lifetime. Mars in Scorpio is determined, it is laser focused, it is never going to give up. It is like the most committed energy. Mars in Scorpio and Mars in Capricorn, what beautiful placements to just like to get things done and to not be deterred from your path. And so it's moving through the fear, moving through the things that scare us. And then once we've passed that threshold, it's like all the planets are there for support. Again, Jupiter and Saturn, the planet of our life lessons and our great work, what we're here to do, what we're here to build in this lifetime. The North Node is our highest path, is our highest calling. So it's really just questioning the stories that have kept us from playing small, and then questioning or looking at the ways that we give our power away, right? This is true for the Aries Libra dynamic, looking at the ways that we put our power into other people's hands, the Libra energy, the shadow side of Libra, where we, maybe we don't want to upset other people. We want to live in a certain way that other people are okay with it, or we don't want to, offset the scales too much. Libra wants to keep things balanced and peaceful, but not doing that at the cost of themselves, right? Not putting, everybody else's stuff above yours. Like the Libra energy that needs to take its power back again, Libra, Aries, it is about coming back into the self, looking at the ways that we've given away our power, or the ways that we, seek external validation, or we, are waiting for other people to show up for us, or to meet our needs, or to do these things to make us whole and to make us full. Like that is the shadow side of Libra, and how Libra and Aries balance each other out. When Aries is too impulsive and needs some, more to think things through a little bit more, Libra can offer that. And when Libra is stuck in the indecision, Aries can really pull the trigger. So we need both. We need a healthy balance of the self, of, our identity, and Libra, the other. We need them to be working together. But when it's highlighted like this with this full moon, we're looking at the low road, the shadow side of how we can give our power away, and how we can seek external validation, how we can, want other people to meet our needs for us. So it's being aware of those dynamics, and then that Virgo energy. So as I mentioned at the beginning, with our values shifting, relationship styles shifting, what's important to us shifting. And also maybe it's having the courage to voice these things, the Aries energy that has that courage and the bravery to put it out there, to share what that is. It's getting clear with it. It's standing on it, sharing it, being solid in that truth. Yeah. Yep. That's what I think about this full moon. Yeah, it's really beautiful. I really love it. I think this is like the perfect energy after this eclipse season that we had, and that last new moon, and just intense release in the sign of Virgo, and that the clearing out of the mental patterns. And now it's like, okay, we've done so much work. Like, who are we now? How do we want to show up now? What is it going to look like now? Yeah. Aries energy, courageous, bravery, healing the core wounds, healing and being so conscious of them, to come back to the Sabian symbol. And I also pulled cards before that. So I'll share some of the cards that I got for this full moon too. It was consciousness, ripeness, and moment to moment. I love these cards and the Sabian symbol, and it's all just so perfectly connected. It's like, again, we're at a new place where we're more aware of how we create our own suffering and how we give our power away. And so there is a focus on the right use of our mind, understanding what our fears are, what our core wounds are, like developing a relationship with those things, looking at those things, not hiding from them, not acting like they're not there, and also not judging ourselves for having them, right? Like being compassionate. Again, this could be, we could connect this with the shadow side of Virgo here, where it's like beating yourself into evolving. That's not how it works. It's like needing to have so much love and compassion for ourselves and hold ourselves as we move through the fears. It's talking to ourselves, talking to the fears, and thanking them for being there, but also taking control and understanding that if we want to have a new life, have a new expression of ourselves, then we must move towards those things. But again, we've reached this point in our consciousness, to tie in the cards and the Sabian symbol, where we're in that state more often. We're in that like higher state more often. We've received glimpses of it, moments of it, and now it's like holding that frequency for longer periods of time and really like cementing it into our being so that it is our default state. Yes. Okay. That is what I have to share with this full moon. Yes, I hope that this is helpful and supports you in working with the current energy. I hope everybody has a beautiful full moon in Aries. And as always, I'm available for readings. If you would like to book a reading, you can reach out to me here. I will leave my site below.